Hello fellers. One of the aspects I've always liked about Red Dead Redemption and Rockstar in general is the effort they put to create compelling and complex characters. No matter how much screen time they have, most of them become iconic even if appearing only for an hour in the entire game. So what in the world went wrong with Javier? Seriously, they had the character pretty much set up in the first game. All they had to do was being consistent with it and expand him, as they did with Bill and Dutch. Speaking of Bill, you immediately recognize him the first moment he appears, and he stays like that for the whole game. Dutch changes, but every step of his downfall is gradually introduced and coherent with the events happening in that moment. Forget all of this with Javier. Ever since the beginning he seems a genuinely good friend, always ready to lend a hand if necessary. Not just that, he has a huge respect for Dutch and the gang is everything for him. He seems to have a very idealistic view of reality, which can be bad considering that, once this view is proven wrong or betrayed, he doesn't have anything left. In a way, that's what happened. After the downfall of the gang, Javier seemingly became an outcast and he even started working for the government he despised. I think John gives the most realistic definition of his personality. He had a lot of passion, but no love. Notice how he participates to many parties and activities in the gang. He engages in conversations and often has a very chilled and positive attitude. The way I see it, this is just a superficial mask he puts on. He doesn't really care that much about others. He will help them in order not to betray himself and what he believes for. In my opinion, he saved John from the wolves not because he actually cared for him, but because John was part of his family.
Fine features. Thank you for saving me.
I know you'd save me.
Of course. I owe you. For life. You and Arthur. You okay, Arthur?
As soon as Arthur and John begun to have doubts about Dutch's misdeeds, he quickly became detached and unrespectful towards both of them. So what's so wrong about him? He seems interesting, doesn't he? Well, I think there are two main issues. He has very little screen time, especially compared with Bill and Dutch. That wouldn't be a problem if he was a character with a really remarkable personality, like for example Brucey or Wes Dickens, but he's mostly a regular guy, at least on the surface, so I think he should have been explored much deeper. The second and most important problem is that even the writers themselves seem not to know what to do with him. It seems that they suddenly realized, by the end of Chapter 5, that he had to turn into the is in the first game, but you can't do that in one day. Or you can. You see, I wouldn't complain about his 180 degrees turn if it was put and explained in a good way, even if it happened between the two final chapters. There are people in real life who seem genuinely good and friendly and reveal their true nature suddenly without forewarning. That would have also been a cool contrast between the slow decline of Dutch and Bill's steadiness. The problem is that it's not explained at all, similarly to Sadie's switch from sad widow to angry ass. You can't afford to treat a character like that, a character that should have been expanded and explained. This is a conjecture, but I started thinking that his change should have been explained during Garma's chapter, but the deadline didn't allow to do so. Chapter 5 is generally underdeveloped and lacks a lot of things it was supposed to have. It really feels something is missing. What makes me angry, above all, is that improving this character wasn't so difficult. I think they should have added in all chapters at least one mission with just Arthur in him, or maybe Arthur, Javier, and a third element, and made them actually talk about something serious, not just random and ordinary conversations like the fishing side activity. There are these kind of moments with basically every main character. I'll show some pictures of them. The only one that's missing is Javier. Heck, just think about Sadie. Then, in my opinion, there should have been a final discussion between them that would have finally put Javier totally on Dutch's side. the problem is that, with these moments missing, you don't really know what to think of him. The vision John gives is just an opinion because it's really difficult to prove it. And it's not something intentional like the debate on Dutch. In that case you could see him as a rotten apple from the start, or as someone who changed, but either way of seeing it, that wouldn't change a bit Dutch's character in the first game and would be coherent with it. You can't say the same with Javier. Was he really just a fake person the whole time? Maybe he truly cared for John. That would explain why in the original game Javier tries to escape rather than shooting him. We can't really tell because, I think, neither the developers can. Ultimately I reckon this character is a big wasted opportunity. I strongly hope to see him explored much more in an eventual prequel, because for now he's just a confusing mess. Do you agree with me? Please let me know your opinion. Maybe I overlooked something important, so hope to see you there. Bye bye.